Okay, welcome back. Again, this is Merrick. I am recording these videos to help people know how to use a TI-83 or 84, and you may share them freely. I would just ask that you acknowledge the fact that I was the person who made these and that you don't attempt to either claim them as your own or try to profit from them, since I'm sharing this freely. All right, so I just realized that I didn't actually show you how to do the X variable when I was showing stuff in the previous video. So let me go ahead and I'm going to back out of here right now. So if I am in the graph and I want to quit out of there, I'm going to go to second, which again is on that far left-hand side near the very top. And I'm going to go over to mode, which is the next button to the right. And if you take a look above mode, it says quit. So when I click that, it should take me right out of my graph. And at this point, I can go ahead and say clear. When I want to go ahead and enter something, right, I'm going to go in here. I have, let's say I wanted to do, let me jump quite a few. Let's see. There we go. So on my X, let's say I want to see what it looks like for an X squared minus 3. Okay, so the very first thing I'm going to do is I need to find that X. Well, that is next to the alpha, which is right below our second button. So it's the second button in, second button down, below our graphing buttons. And you'll see an X, and it has a T, and then it has this round thing with a line through it. That's a theta, and you'll have it may have other symbols as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to click that. That's our X. And now we can do either a second and 2, or in this case, because square shows up so often, we actually have a button that will do that for us. It does those 2 steps. So you would come down. It's also on your left side, kind of the middle of your calculator on the left-hand side. You can see that X squared. I can click that. Now I've gotten my square up there. I could have just as easily used my little up arrow and a 2. And now I want to subtract 3 from that, I think is what we said. You could do this just by subtracting 3. If you're being given an addition problem and a negative number, you can, well, go ahead and move down one. I'll do that as well. So I'm going to say, jump 2. Oh, it's no big thing. So I've got my X, and then I've got my square. And now I'm going to add, I'm going to put parentheses around this. I'm going to have a negative number. And this is really important. You cannot have the minus sign in place of a negative sign on this calculator. They are not interchangeable on this calculator, which is very frustrating to me because a lot of times people are like, I keep getting this error and I don't know why. Well, check that you use the right, you used a negative sign instead of a minus, or that you use the minus sign instead of a negative if you are dealing with negative numbers or you're trying to subtract something. So I'm going to say minus 2 in this case. So this is not going to go quite as far down as our previous one, our y2. Let's go ahead. I'm going to save that. I'm going to quit out of here. I could also just go to graph. In fact, let's do that. You can see that I have, here's my cubic one that kind of wiggles around. And then here's my second one. This is the y2 right here. And we can actually see which one it is. We can go ahead and trace. So I'm going to go to my trace. And you can see right now I'm on my y1. And that's my x cubed minus 8x, which is what we expected. Okay. Now I want to go ahead and change to one of the other ones. Now I'm going to use an up arrow, and it's going to, if you look up here at the top of the graphing screen, you can see I have the y1, tells me which function I'm using. If I use the up arrow, you'll watch that change. So now it says I'm on my really bright pink one there, right? And that's my y4 of x squared plus a negative 2. All right, and then I can go up again, and that will give me my my y2 equals x squared minus 3. All right, and you can shuffle between these just by using your up and down keys. Now, when you're tracing, if you use your left and right, it's going to move you along that curve. And you want to be sure you're on the right curve for what you're wanting to do, right? In this case, if I wanted to be on my cubic one, I'm on the wrong curve, and I would need to do something about that. I would use my up arrow one more time to put me back on my cubic function. All right? So, but once you start tracing, it'll move along, and we've already kind of talked about that a bit. It will move along. I do want to let you know that there is the potential for rounding errors. It can be, it's going to be very, very small, but it is potentially possible to have something here where you would have, where it might say 0.499999 instead of saying 0.5. All right, so just be aware that sometimes there's just a tiny bit off, and that there is a rounding error that can occur in our calculator. All right, so it's not going to be a huge thing, but I want to make certain that you know of it. I also want to be sure that folks know that if you are dealing with something like your 2/3, right? If I go 2 divided by 3, I'm going to get this 0.666 for quite a while, and then it rounds to 7. This is that rounding error I'm talking about. Actually, this would go on forever as a 6. You would put a bar over top of the 6 somewhere up here and be done with it, right? Because you're saying that it's going to go on forever as a 6. And I will tell you this, that there are some instructors, and I actually tend to be one of them in this particular instance, that if I tell you I want the exact answer as a decimal form, and you were to write this onto your paper, it would be wrong, because I need you to tell me that you understand that this goes on forever, and that 7 tells us that it ends, and that's not what we're asking for. So just be aware that other instructors may have that as a caution. All right. And let's see what else. Going ahead, and I've shown you how to graph. I've shown you how to move between functions. I'm coming to the 8-minute mark here. I want to make sure that I don't run long on these videos, so you can actually go in and find exactly what you need relatively quickly. So I'm going to end this here and pick up our information about how to find minimums and maximums and zeros using the calculator to do the work for us. All right?